Welcome to more World of Warplanes content from the Noble Queue, and in this video we'll take a look at the S-199 Sakeen, the Israeli Tier 6 premium multi-role attached to the European nation, and watch it go on a bit of a rampage. So here's my S-199 Sakeen on the tarmac outside the hangar, and straight away you'll notice I've reassigned it to the German nation in World of Warplanes. Israeli aircraft, German nation. I'm not sure how much thought Wargaming gave to that. But moving swiftly on, let's take a look at how I've set this aircraft up. It's not specialised yet, so I have a slot missing, not unavailable for the airframe. I'd probably put a lightweight airframe in there when it becomes available. And I've also got a slot missing on the engine, and that will probably be used for an engine restart, but it comes available. Otherwise, I've put on a gun sight, uprated engine for extra speed, and in this case I've chosen improved gas operated action for a rate of fire. Fire extinguisher which I put on all my single seat aircraft, pneumatic control assist for a little bit more manoeuvrability, extra boost available through the engine cooling, absolutely essential for this particular multi-role as you'll see, and universal ammunition. I've selected a highly trained pilot here with the usual suspects of aerobatics and acrobatics, aerodynamics expert and aerobatics expert. Engine Guru 1, Marksman 1. Also got the resilience skill on this particular pilot, and I had an odd point kicking around at the moment, so I've put that on Eagle-eyed to give me a little bit more vision. But this is a crew trainer, and use it as such. And if you don't fancy assigning it to the German nation, then if you right click here and change the nation for 100,000 credits, you can assign it to any of the other major nations. So that makes this versatile, and it's one of the key selling points of this aircraft as far as I'm concerned. So what we'll do next is we'll take a look at the statistics. I'm not going to go through them too exhaustively, but if you really can't bear that, then use the links below the video to skip ahead to another section. So here are the statistics, and as ever, the S-199 occupies columns C and D. Other multi-roles are in a pair of columns off to the right. The main characteristics available in the Hangar UI are shown down the left here, and the statistics are in the body of the spreadsheet. Again, stock configuration, I have mounted ordnance where it's available, no equipment, pilot has been sent back to the barracks, and the modules are all top. Green, best in class, if you see it in the body of the spreadsheet. Light blue, second best in class. Light purple, third best in class. And the gold banner indicates a premium aircraft. So let's step through this very quickly. Gun armament, nothing to write home about on the S-199. The DPS is sort of middling, far less than, for instance, the Focke-Wulf 190A5, which is outstanding in this class, but better than some. Such as surprisingly the IL-1, but that's an outlier amongst the multi-roles, on a par with, say, the F4U-1 Corsair, and less than some of the other aircraft such as the Tornado. The armament is split between machine guns, which have a range of 1,640 feet, and 20mm cannons, which have a range of 2,362 feet. So bear in mind that beyond, say, 1,700 feet, you're losing 100 of your DPS, about 40% or thereabouts, just off the top of my head. Nonetheless, the burst length is very manageable, and that makes the burst damage pretty good on this aircraft. As far as ordnance concerned, again, a sort of a middling figure. It's got 470 kilogram bombs. I tend to use 2 on a gun emplacement, so 2 each on gun emplacements, often getting 2 ground targets at a sector I'm attacking. Lags behind the bombs of the Focke-Wulf. The rockets look as if they're quite useful, but in fact they're not really that useful, so it's on a par with the Focke-Wulf practically, even if on paper it looks as if it's quite a bit weaker. Better than the IL-1, but then the IL-1 is a specialist aircraft. It's actually, in my opinion, a ground attacker killer. Far behind the P-47B, unsurprisingly. Slightly behind the Corsair. And the Tornado's rockets are okay, but not great. So, yes, as far as ground attacking is concerned, it's reasonably capable. Survivability on the low side for a multi-role. But having said that, the hit points are 300, damage resistance is 48, which is actually worst in class, but okay. And the fire resistance is a fairly healthy 60. Airspeed, and here's where it starts to be worth paying attention. The cruise speed is the highest in class, and I do recommend you try and keep this aircraft as fast as possible at all times. The maximum boost speed is not 363, that is an error. I happen to know it's 391, so we'll correct that on the fly. And that's actually pretty healthy compared to the other multi-roles. Boost duration, however, is second worst in class, even though it's shown third best here. The only thing that has less boost is the AC-9, so you really do need that engine cooling consumable as soon as you can get it. If you've got the credits, get it on. It's probably the most important consumable of all, because you're going to need to increase this boost figure as much as you can. The maneuverability, again, fairly middling. It's going to outturn a Focke-Wulf, no surprises there. It's not going to outturn a Yak-9. That actually may be a surprise to you. It's even a little bit less mobile than the IL-1, which is a great hulking brute of an aircraft. But there is something worth noting here. These figures, which I often skip over in videos, minimum optimum speed, maximum optimum speed, these figures indicate the range in which your aircraft maneuverability is not affected, and this is best in class. Now, if you spot this, 391 maximum, it will pay you to keep this aircraft fast, because in aircraft that are theoretically more maneuverable, but travelling at this kind of speed, will not be as maneuverable as normal. Their characteristics will be degraded, and that will give you a better chance of outmaneuvering them. And that's true against the fighters as well, although of course the fighters start from a higher base of maneuverability. Altitude performance, again, pretty middling. And the one that really catches the eye here is the IL-1, really proving that it's meant to be attacking ground attackers. No altitude performance at all. Simply nothing to write home about for the S-199. It's about average for class. So what I extract from these figures, I will tell you in a moment. So, how I recommend you fly the S-199. Try and stay as part of the group, don't get isolated. Try and keep it as fast as possible. Do make sure to use your ordnance to take out a couple of targets at any sector if you can. Prioritise taking out ground attackers, any low-flying heavies. If you're going to take on fighters, you want to catch them by surprise. You don't want to be dogfighting with them. Other multi-roles are possible, but remember your maneuverability is limited. You are looking to take other aircraft from behind when they're busy doing something else. Here we are on the Scorching Sands map. It's the invasion variant with 5 sectors in the shape of 5 spots of a quincunx, which I haven't said for a while, and I enjoy saying quincunx, although it has to be said carefully. And what we've got is 3 garrisons in a line and 2 air bases. In terms of strategy, possessing at least one of the air bases is important because it makes it easier to spawn near the action. You can select a different aircraft if that's your style, or in my case, I tend to just repair my aircraft and play the same plane throughout. And the central garrison is tactically important because it allows easy access to all the other sectors. If we look at the order of battle, we can see that I'm accompanied by another S-199, which is specialised, and perhaps one of the soon-to-be the rarest aircraft in the game, the Spitfire VB Iron Maiden variant. That licensing deal has expired. You'll never be able to get your hands on one of those unless that deal is ever resurrected. Seems unlikely. A Tier 5 specialised boomerang and a BF-109E. On the opposing side, the enemy has the advantage of an A-26B bomber, a Ki-61, not so manoeuvrable Japanese fighter, tricky guns, but nevertheless capable. They also have the advantage of a specialised heavy, the B-38J, and another bomber, Tier 5, the B-17D, and a specialised Yak-7. Now, we've got 3 specialised aircraft, they've only got 2, but I think the mix of aircraft, if well played, will give us a lot of trouble on this map. So let's see how it turns out. Now, at the suggestion of my good friend Big Buckarama, you'll see me playing less rigidly than usual. I always say that what I tell you are guidelines, which means that they're not to be slavishly adhered to, but nonetheless I tend to have in mind the numbers on aircraft much more than I do the actual tactical situation, how well the planes in front of me are being flown. Big Buckarama pointed that out to me, so here I'm trying to fly even more loosely than I would recommend that you do. And the thing about guidelines, the really good players know when to apply them and when to ignore them. So I work over the first air defence aircraft that comes in front of me, engage a second, and we get the local garrison immediately. Now I like to go to the eastern airfield, which feels nearer to me every single time when I'm on this side of the map, so off we go. I begin to gain a little bit of altitude so that I can take a heavy if it comes down. In fact, one begins to come within range, so that becomes my next target. Manage the gun slightly, just to make sure I don't overheat, although actually there was no danger of that. As I've said in previous section of the video, the burst length on this aircraft is actually pretty good, and your burst damage is pretty high, compensating for what is a fairly low DPS, or pretty average DPS anyway. I'll chase down my 4th air defence aircraft across 2 sectors. We've nearly got this target secured. I decided to deploy a couple of bombs on a gun emplacement. Find a heavy that's strayed into the sector. Kill that, and that secures the sector. I turn. I was intending to get repairs, but I'm immediately confronted by the Ki-61. And here's the first instance of more loose play. Normally, I would have just flown straight on to avoid the Ki-61, which is more manoeuvrable, but as I'm over a repair base and I've got friends, I decided to turn on it and see if it worked for me, and it did. And I pick up repairs. And Boomerang was the plane that actually killed the Ki-61, but I certainly did a lot of damage to it. So we now go to see if we can secure the tactically important garrison. And my team is establishing dominance there as I arrive, and look like they'll soon have it. Before I can engage, we secure the sector, so now it's a question of mopping up. Put a few rounds into the ground attacker. I spot a heavy, much more dangerous threat, so I decide to concentrate on that. And assist in destroying that. That leaves me the opportunity to come back for the ground attacker. And I finish that off. Now I spend some time, having cleared out that sector with the help of my teammates, deciding what I'm going to do next. One of my teammates is flying towards the airbase, so I decide to accompany him. And the problem with attacking an airbase is that if you go in few numbers, it's always possible a lot of aircraft will spawn there and you'll be overwhelmed. Nonetheless, I catch a 0 unawares. That's exactly what I want to do because I don't want to be in a turn fight with it, and I shoot it down. I put some rounds into a tornado, which gets finished off by one of my teammates, and turn to head towards the airfield again, and suddenly the skies are full of red. Again, the Ki-61 confronts me head on. Again, I decide this time to turn. He blows up, obviously set him on fire. I set about the Yak-7, but despite our attentions fighting on the periphery of this sector, we've actually lost the middle. So now we've got to retake it. And I also set the Yak-7 on fire, and that goes down as well. I don't want the ground attackers to get to our local garrison if I can help it, so I begin to work them over. But unfortunately, I've also got a fighter behind me, so although I want to concentrate on the ground attackers and weaken them, I'm in a precarious situation. I turn to see if I can get the fighter, and then decide to finish off the ground attacker if I can. Managed to get the IL-2 down, but then lose my plane to rear gunner fire off the IL-2. So here we are spawning back in, and I'm in position to take out the remaining ground attacker. And there's also a low-flying bomber here, which turns out to be the A-26B. Point of historical information, this is exactly what you used to do with the A-26B. Fly it at 0 feet, use your speed to get over targets, and destroy them very quickly, and then fly away very quickly before the defence aircraft would shoot you down. Well, you can't do that anymore because in 2018 the speed of low-flying bombers was nerfed, and as you can see, I've no problem in keeping up with the A-26B. I do it significant damage and then it's finished off by my teammates. However, although we have the enemy's local garrison, we've now lost this one and we need to take it back. So the first thing I can do is use the remaining 2 bombs that I have. I should have reloaded earlier in the game, that was remiss of me. Nonetheless, I'm able to take out 1 target. A air defense fighter flies in front of me and I destroy that. And then I'm behind the 2 heavies, one of which is easily within range. And with a few short bursts, I knock that down and we have our local garrison back. Which is just as well because the enemy have taken theirs back as too. I see a pair of aircraft that are fairly close to me, so I decide to go and hunt them. And the nearest one turns out to be the Yak-7, who's paying me no attention. So I get within range of all my guns and quickly dispose of him. The Zero is flown away. I open up earlier this time because I want to damage the Zero. In fact, I've managed to get his wing. I don't want him to have any opportunity to turn on me. The second wing is damaged, and that's the wing legend notification going through as I destroy him. Put a few rounds into a bomber, and turn to confront what's behind me. It's a Yak-7 that very nearly manages to get a Rocketeer kill on me. Here's another example of me taking a chance. I turn. As it happens, my teammate finishes off the Yak. I shoot at the tornado that's coming towards me, and again the enemy have managed to take this central sector. They are making a good fist of this battle. I managed to shoot the tornado's wing. That gives the opportunity to my teammate to kill it. Again, I took the opportunity to turn with the tornado instead of running away from it, which is what I might have done in the past. And here's a tactically important moment. I help destroy the B-17D, and that's after the scoreline. And then I find the A-26B dogfighting underneath me. Well, for that impertinence, he needs to be punished. So I shoot him down, and now the enemy have lost both their human bombers and a great deal of their ability to flip sectors. And although we're losing 3-2, I'm now fairly confident that if we can get a sector, we should win this battle because the enemy's ability to take sectors back has been much reduced. Turn an ADA fighter. And my team has secured the centre, and now we should be in a good position. I spot the P-38J flying straight towards me, and it's clear that he's AFK. That presents me with an easy kill. Well, I can't say no. Still hit points. And down it goes. And for the final time in the game, I find the KI-61, and again I choose to turn with it, and fortunately, because I have friends in the sector, he focuses on something else, and that gives me the opportunity to shoot him. And away he goes for the last time in the game. Another Yak-7 comes towards me. I fill that full of holes and turn on it when previously I might not have. And I execute a tight enough turn to be able to destroy it, and that allows me to gain the Hero of the Sky badge. And now the game is secure and over. There's going to be no more that I can do. Everything else is too far away from me. I fly towards the airbase in the hope that possibly something will come towards me, but as it turns out, no such luck. And there we have it, a game where I think I proved to myself that I need to fly a little bit less rigidly. And in that case, I may very well get 22,000 personal points, slightly more often. The S-199 on a bit of a rampage there. So let's have a look at the outcome of this battle. And as we can see from the centre, it's a 5 chevron battle, grade 1 multirole fighter. 199,540 credits, or silver if you prefer, of which roughly 67,000 were due to the premium account. Bonus, message box, 2,000 for repairs, and prepaid consumables, so no other expenses. 10,517 aircraft experience with bonuses. 525 free XP for bonuses. This was the first win of the day. A couple of tokens. These were both from first medals of the day, Hero of the Sky badge and a Winged Legend. Turning to the personal score tab, we can see that One of the aircraft-specific missions was completed. The other two were just one step away. That's sufficient to get the 5 chevrons. Personal points of 22,015. 4 sectors captured. 19 aerial targets destroyed, just one short of the ace, unfortunately. 6,693 damage to aerial targets. 29 critical damage off the guns, destroyed once. Capture points received 640. Split 200 for defending and 440 for attacking. 2 ground targets destroyed, damage 3,767. And turning to the team scores tab, both by personal points and by chevrons, that was enough for first place. The other S-199 in the team, that's a decent contribution, and also a pretty good contribution from the Spitfire VB-IM, potentially the rarest aircraft in the game these days. And on the opposing side, some fairly good contributions. The AC-7, the IL-2 put himself about. Nobody need feel disgraced here. All good efforts. It just so happened that the match went our way. That concludes my look at the S-199 Sakeen, the premium Tier 6 Israeli multirole. And on paper, this aircraft looks as if it is quite average in most respects, but I think as this video demonstrates, it's actually versatile and powerful. When you throw in the fact that it can be assigned to any of the major nations for 100,000 credits, I think this makes this a premium well worth considering if you're on a budget. Well, I hope you found all of this helpful, and if you did, that you'll come back and see my future content. But until then, this is the Noble Q signing out.